fruits, nuts, and seeds.
Chapati, thank you for teaching us to be healthy.
The energy that I feel with these meals.
Chapati, that was really yummy.
Like a kid with new toys. Health is my greatest joy. Come and see, come and be with our host Chapati.
Hello and welcome to Food with Life. I am your host Chapati, and we're here at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles, California, 2014. And we are doing a very special show with a very special man. He's a very revered doctor, and he has come up with a beautiful concept idea dealing with the heart, the mind and the body and so on. His name is Dr. Darren Weissman. Very nice to have you.
Thank you, Chapati.
He's written a bunch of very good books, and we're going to talk a bit about his wisdom regarding the heart. That seems to be the focal point or the emphasis of your work, yes?
Yeah, the heart is where the healing is. You gotta feel to heal. When the heart's open, we can feel.
All right. So say this more. Describe it in detail more what you mean. Because everyone says, I feel this or I feel that. That means that it touches their heart.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, different. The emotions that we experience from moment to moment are what literally move all the different aspects of our body. This is tied in with Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. There's energy channels. So the energy that moves us, it's almost like a play on words. Energy that moves us, the energy in motion is our emotion. And it's our ability to feel our emotions that either it's like digesting food. If we can digest our emotions, then that process of emotions literally becomes a fuel for our bodies, a fuel for our minds, a fuel for our relationships, so that we can begin to thrive in life rather than being so frantic and overwhelmed by the circumstances that we often face.
So on a more biological level, is there actually, what happens in the physiology when the heart is activated?
Well, what happens in the physiology is, there's a couple things that happen. Our body's chemistry is directly related to our emotional state of being. It's actually called psychoneuroimmunology. Long word, but
Big word.
But whatever. What it says is that our psychological state affects our nervous system, our immune system, and our hormones. And that
So the mind-body connection.
the mind-body connection,
Right.
they're one. It's not even that they're connected, they're always connected.
Right.
There's no such thing as a separation. And the segue between the mind and body is the heart. So when the heart's open, the mind and body have a fluid state of performance and play and passion. And when there's resistance, when we're in a state of protection and survival, when we're in that, what's called that freeze, fight, or flight, that heart starts to close down, and then the mind and body start having unique conversations.
Example.
Well, headaches, digestive challenges, immune challenges, anxiety, depression, attention deficit, you name it. Any kind of symptom, any kind of stress becomes a reflection that the mind and body are not in sync with one another. They're, on a different focal point. And the interesting thing about it is this. When we look at our mind, most of our mind is not aware, is not conscious. Most of our mind is subconscious. So understanding that what keeps our heart beating isn't us saying, beat here, pump blood, do this.
Right.
The subconscious mind does that, and it helps all the other 50 plus trillion cells in our body function the way that they do.
Right.
So, when we can get our subconscious mind on board, that reactive, fear-based mind on board, then our heart naturally begins to open. We naturally start to experience more joy and play and excitement.
So in a way, is it not psychology that hinders this by dividing everything up into mind, body, emotions, intellect, and all this,
Is it psychology that does that?
Yes, I mean, before we had psychology, where were we with this?
I don't know.
You know what I understand?
Yeah,
what I'm
you know, I
saying?
hear what you're saying, but you know, and we live in a world that literally puts everything into a pigeonhole, and
Yes.
everything is a specialized world. And it has its place. It does some good things at times, but until we really recognize the holism and the interconnectedness of things, we miss the big boat as far as understanding the nature of why people suffer. There's a huge psychological complex that affects our biology, our behavior, our mental state, our spiritual state. Having an awareness of this is so important.
Yeah, I think I want to talk about this more at length because it's a big subject.
It is a big subject,
I wanna-
but very practical.
Right, all right. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Let's do it.
I am your host, Chapati. This is Food with Life with our wonderful guest, Dr. Darren Weissman. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Food with Life. I am your host, Chapati. We're at the Conscious Life Expo 2014, Los Angeles, USA. And we're with a very special guest, Dr. Darren Weissman. We're gifted to have you here.
Thanks so much.
We're talking about the heart and the emotions, and I was saying it is psychology that actually has broken everything down into all these factions. What happened 10, 20 years ago, 100 years ago, whatever, 50 years ago, 100, 200, when there was not such a thing, people understood as the emotions, the intellect, the mind, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because if you look at thousands of years ago, and the barefoot doctors of Chinese medicine recognized that the elements in nature interacted with each other in very predictable ways, and that these elements also corresponded with our bodies, and that they were able to discover where the pathways of these energy channels go, and it's still specific. And today in our world, we can find where these points are that correspond with different elements, different organs, different glands. I mean, it's literally brilliant. But it's all about everything working together. It's not taking one part and just saying, this is it.
Right.
It's about looking at the full picture and appreciating that.
That's what I want to mean, because my thought is, I could be wrong, but psychology or other sciences, they dissect everything in segments.
Yeah.
As opposed to looking at the underlying whole.
Yeah. Getting to the foundation as far as why would the body be speaking with symptoms in the first place?
Right.
Why would a person be stressed or anxious in the first place?
Right.
Why do people get caught into addiction or obsessive compulsive disorder? Why does that happen? You gotta go underneath the tip of the iceberg to discover that incredible orchestration, which is, to me, my passion. It is the subconscious mind, like getting into that. What's so amazing, Chapati, is that the brain and the body don't know the difference between memory or reality. And so when old memories get triggered, we react as if that memory were going on for the first time, again and again and again. And that affects us as far as being able to adapt in the moment and function in a healthy way in the moment. We're not able to, because we're reacting as if we're a 3-year-old little boy or, still in our mother's womb. We carry these memories, and they affect our heart and how it beats and how that communicates with all the other cells and organs and glands of the body.
So basically, it's everything, this mind-body connection. We can't even say, that's dissecting it as mind-body, you see? But it's this unity which we strive to have, which are somehow, we break it up in our brains. Somehow it divides. I think it's possibly maybe conditioning too.
It is a conditioning. Yeah, it is. It's definitely a conditioning. And it really requires us in our world today to create a new frame and understanding of what does it mean to be sick? What does it mean to be stressed? Because for one person, stress is horrible, while another person's like, bring it on.
Yeah.
It's gross. So stress is perception.
But there are two types of stress. There's stress where you're doing something that's painful and you don't like it. Or there's also stress if you're doing something which you love.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've heard it's very positive,
Right.
you know?
Becomes growth.
Right, right.
We're able to
Growth.
learn and really evolve in those kinds of situations where it's a stress where we like it.
Right, right.
Right? But that same situation for somebody might be like, ugh, like just dragging up a steep hill.
Right.
You know, but stress is the foundation of like, oh, why did the person develop cancer? Oh, why did the person have ulcerative colitis? Why does the person have migraines?
Right.
It's some kind of stress factor.
Right.
Could be electromagnetic, could be emotional, could be structural. There's a lot of stress factors. But having an appreciation that what leads to stress on a core level is, to me, at the foundation of really reframing why our body speaks in the first place.
Uh-huh. Mm. Yes, when you say speaks,
Yeah,
I think our body speaks to us all the time.
all the time.
Many times we don't, either we're not able to tune in to it, or don't know how.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's that we're not able. I think people don't know what they don't know.
Yes, so, but then the people we see, they go to the psychologists and all this, you know, for the psychiatrists and all this, to help them, to facilitate this. Would you say this is so?
A psychologist, psychiatrist, internist,
Right,
any kind of doctor.
right, right,
People go to doctors to get fixed.
right,
And, you know, and that's great because it serves its purpose on a certain level. But there's an intelligence in the body that says the body knows how to heal.
right,
It does. And it's not about being naive, you know, it's like there's certain things that people need support. But however, when we can evoke the body's natural healing potential, and this is what I actually teach in what's called the Lifeline Technique. It's a
Okay.
training program that I do, that it helps people to enhance their natural ability to be their fullest potential in different circumstances.
Okay, we want to talk about it in the next segment, don't we?
Cool, yeah.
Okay. I'm yours, Chapati. This is Food with Life. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Food with Life. I am yours, Chapati, and we're here at the Conscious Life Expo with a wonderful Dr. Darren Weissman. And we're talking a bit about psychology and all this. We mentioned how people go very much to psychologists and psychiatrists and all this, and I think it's in some ways related that the heart isn't quite, they're not quite in touch with their heart, or in some way uncertainty. What would you say on that?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, they're not sure about this feeling about that, or what to do about this, or about their relationship with this person.
There's a lot of people emotionally suffering.
Yes,
In our world today, there's a lot of people struggling and feeling stuck and anxious. It's a fearful world. There's a lot.
yes,
And so psychologists and psychiatrists are busy in helping people and counseling people and medicating people. And,
right,
you know, on a certain level, you know, having somebody to talk to could be a good thing, but there's at least in my experience, nothing that's bad about it, but it just, unless you get into the depth of why people are afraid, and there's some pretty crappy things that happen, like, oh, duh, why would people be afraid? Think about things that you watch in the news, but people walk around in anxiety
Yes.
all the time. They wake up at 2 to 3 in the morning and their mind is racing, they can't fall back asleep.
right,
You know, one of the things that I would love to talk to you about is the concept of what is the reactive part of ourself? What causes us to react in that way? What causes a person to lose that sense of joy and happiness and fulfillment and passion and get caught up in the dramas of their own stuff? And it just perpetuates things.
Well, the cause, I mean, is not the cause something to do with stress or imbalance.
And we talked about that before.
Yes.
And why is it stressful for one person when another person seems to be going with the flow?
What do you think?
Well, at the core,
Yes.
I call it a spirit protection reflex. I call it a gap that our mind has a protection mode. And when it says that we can't process a particular emotion, when there's something that is too emotionally heavy to deal with that our mind perceives, then it shuts off. And when it shuts off, then it's almost like a funnel. As much as a certain amount wants to come in, it gets funneled down to a small amount. And that's what happens to our mind. There's an infinite amount of information going on, but we can only handle so much. And it's almost like a circuit breaker that shoots off, and then we enter this stress mode. Right. These circuit breakers are actually, as a doctor of holistic medicine, these circuit breakers have to do with the different energy channels of our body. And when you get those flowing, someone who suffers with anxiety or someone who gets caught into a place where they're constantly fearful will literally shift quickly, naturally. I've helped so many people that suffer with PTSD, people that have been abused, people that have been to war. And after doing
PTSD, what,
post-traumatic stress disorder, sorry. Yeah, where they've experienced some really heavy things. And in doing a single session with a person, instant shift.
So, we'll talk about your technique, but first I'm wondering, ultimately, we have infinite love. Is that not an innate quality that every individual has?
Well, we're born. We're born. We're born in the truest sense of pure love.
Right.
That is who we all are.
And early on, or as we grow, it gets
Squelched.
It gets what?
It gets squelched.
Squelched.
Yeah, we grow up in environments where mom is overwhelmed and dad is frustrated, and
right.
these energies, and this is part of life.
Right, or the things get taken out on the children, or the children get this way or
Siblings
that way.
fight, parents divorce.
Twist, all this. So it gets covered up. It gets covered up very soon, or a little later. So I want to talk about this more in our next segment, because this is a very important thing. We all have this innate ability to love, but as we grow, it's just dissipated, So let's talk about that in a minute, okay?
Okay.
I am your host, Chapati. This is Food with Life. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Food with Life. I am your host, Chapati. We're at the Conscious Life Expo with our wonderful guest, Dr. Darren Weissman. And we're talking about something very important. That is our heart. As we grow, this beautiful ability to have this innate love is covered over. Tell me something about it, and what can we do to keep it open?
Well, first and foremost, it's from conception up until puberty, really all the way through life, but from conception to puberty, our mind is like soft cement. It can be molded, and it's molded and conditioned by the environment that we're in. Mm-hmm. So the state of love, or the state of fear of the environment that we're in, the way that people think, the way they feel, the way they speak, influences us and who we are. And later in life, those aspects of ourselves, those programs, start showing up. And they start showing up as the symptoms or stressors, physical and emotional, in our life. And so first and foremost, what we can do is, the first thing to do, Chapate, is to go, hey, what I think is wrong with me isn't really what's wrong with me, that's the conversation. Rather than this is a failure or this is a problem, this is a feedback and it's a portal. And then, once we realize that it's a feedback from our subconscious mind, or it's a portal to help reprogram, reboot, delete old files that have nothing to do with us, have to do with old memories. And when you start to recognize that at the core of all suffering and stress is subconscious patterns, and then you take a step-by-step approach, which is called the lifeline technique, you can shift these reactive patterns. You can reprogram your mind and influence your fullest potential to heal. It's all about love. Do you know what this means?
No, what does it actually mean?
This means I love you in American Sign Language.
Oh.
It means I love you. Thumb out. Otherwise it means you're a heavy metal rocker. So this means I love you in American Sign Language. And so when you find yourself in stress,
yes,
you find yourself like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed by what's going on. Take your hand, put it next to your heart.
In your heart.
Right?
Yes.
And literally just think the thoughts. Just what you think and what you speak has an influence. So just even thinking, infinite love and gratitude to this anxiety, this frustration, this overwhelm. Infinite love and gratitude to this person who is really pissing me off or making me angry. Infinite love and gratitude. Literally, those thoughts itself will shift that reactive mind and start to soften the edges of what might be so frustrating in your life.
Right. Yes, you know, that's important what you say. If you have this disagreement or something with somebody else,
Yeah.
it's nothing it's in you. You know, if I'm
reflective.
angry with somebody or they do something which touches me or that, they haven't done anything to hurt me. I've hurt myself by my feelings. Is that not what you is it something like that you think?
Similar. I mean,
You know,
it's everything is a reflection of something else.
Like
And
the
so-
world is, as you say, the world is as you are.
Yeah.
You know, if you're
That can be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people because
Yeah.
sometimes we attract some really painful situations.
right,
You know, so, just being aware and compassionate towards the human condition
right,
and to recognize that there's meaning in life even when it's so super painful and so super stressful.
right.
To
Yeah.
acknowledge that.
Yeah, and what it may be difficult to go through or time, I think it's good to keep in mind that it's just a short inconvenience you're having. You know, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it an inconvenience. I'd say it's a conversation and
Yeah.
participate in the dialogue. In some conversations, like I'm a parent of 3 kids,
Right.
some conversations are difficult to have,
Right.
but you gotta have them.
Right.
But if you can start with wherever you're at and know that the only answer to every question that you might have is love. The only answer is love.
Right.
And the best form of love is how can I love myself in this situation? How can I feel my feelings, acknowledge them, and move forward? And guess what? That's medicine. That affects the health of our body. That affects the health of how somebody else feels. It really makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I think you touched on this one thing which I think is very important is gratitude.
Yeah.
Say something about that.
Love in action, baby.
Yeah.
Gratitude is love in action. Saying thank you, not just for the things that are really cool and great, but saying thank you even for the things that are crappy. Because we know that crap is the fertilizer for growth.
Right.
Right?
It's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Any difficulty is a fertilizer for growth.
There you go.
Putting it on the plant and let it go shh. And the last thing, do you have any quick technique you might show us or something to help our audience if they're going through some rocks, so to speak? Or
Well, I mean,
something?
just literally this.
This-
Put your hand like this.
Yes,
Put it over your heart.
yes.
And when your mind is in a monkey mind, merry-go-round place, literally close your eyes, take a deep breath, and give yourself infinite love and gratitude. You stay with that for a good 15 to 20 seconds, and you'll start to notice that negativity that you're having will start to shift. If you use it, it works.
Do we need to put the attention on the heart or just what do you think?
It's best if you do. That's where the healing comes from, is the heart.
That feels very good.
You're a sweet man.
Thank you so much. It's our privilege to have you and to share your wisdom with us.
Thanks so much. It's been my pleasure.
Our honor. I am your host, Chapati, with our wonderful guest, Dr. Darren Weissman. We'll see you very soon. Keep your thoughts happy, full of love, and remember it's an important, essential part of our very nature. Stay tuned with us. We'll see you again. I'm your host, Chapati. This is Food with Life. Bye-bye.
Veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds.